Hello again, James Swanwick here, joining you for another episode. Great to have you here. And today I am joined by a fellow podcaster. In fact, I like to call him the king of podcasting because his show, The Art of Charm, has been around for about 7 years. 7 years, is that right, Jordan?
Yeah, 7.5 years. It's going to be 8 years in January.
Okay, and you're listening and talking to Jordan Harbinger. Jordan Harbinger, not Harbinger, but Harbinger. And he is the host and the creator of The Art of Charm, which is a wonderful podcast. And as I said last time I interviewed Jordan, his was one of the real inspirational podcasts that I listened to that inspired me to create the Alpha Male Club podcast. So thank you once again for that, Jordan.
Yeah, no problem, man. I feel like a supervillain right now. I've got this San Francisco light going on. That looks actually really good. This one is like the villain lighting, where half of my face is lit up and I'm really shiny. Yeah. And the other half is like silhouetted. There's a metaphor in there somewhere, man, for sure.
Yeah. So if you're listening on the podcast and not watching, there's a very stark light that's shining through, making him look pretty cool. Look, Jordan.
Right, yeah, / greasy. I'm hoping that's very San Francisco rush hour. This is the hot seat, literally and figuratively.
So, Jordan, I wanted to talk to you today about productivity, but more specifically, I wanted to go through your daily schedule and my daily schedule. I mean, I'm more interested in yours than mine, but let's just share one another's schedule and see if we can pick holes in it, see if we can optimize it a little bit better, see if we can learn from the other. Because as I understand it, you are pretty particular about your schedule and about getting shit done. Like, you like to get a lot of shit done, and so you run your calendar quite meticulously. So do you want to just give me an overview as to why you do this, and then let's just go into it and you just tell me how you run your day. But why is it so important to you?
So this is something that I think is actually much more important than people give it credit for. And the reason is this. When I started The Art of Charm with the team here, we all lived together. We got up, we were young. We were like 26, 27, not that young now that I think about it. But we got up at like 11 because we were tired and there wasn't a whole lot of light in our apartment in New York. And we were out till 4 o'clock in the morning because that's when bars close over there. So we would get up, around then, and we'd sort of like wander around and eat some food. And then it would be like, all right, time to, and this is without hangover, right? And then it would be like, all right, time to get stuff done. What should I do today? Man, I don't know. I've got so much stuff to do today. And this is like the internal dialogue, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't know. I should make some calls or something. See if people want to come to boot camps or something, and I also should do this podcast. I should call somebody and get a guest on this show or something, and that was how it worked. And then as we got more serious about it as a business, I was like, all right, tomorrow I'm going to get up early and work. And I'd get up at like 9:30, which still, by the way, is not early. And I'd get up and I'd start doing work and I'd start doing all this stuff. And I'd answer all the email. And then I'd ignore some of the email that was important because it was really hard and there was a lot of stuff involved. And then I would go to do some other stuff. And then I'd go to the gym and come back and eat lunch and shower. And I'd be like, oh, yeah, I got to work now. It's like 2:30. And I'd work for a couple hours. And then someone would call and I'd chat with them. And then I'd call my parents. And then I'd be like, man, where did the day go? Oh, I can do some work. And I'd do a couple more hours of work, and then I'd be done. And I'd be like, man, I'm really starting to fall behind on these tasks. And then I started to realize, oh, okay, I'm an appointment-based guy. I started to get a lot of appointments with people. And they were like, listen, I want to talk to you tomorrow. I'm really busy. Let's do the show at this time. Okay. Hey, I want to sign up for your boot camp. But, I'm a finance guy. I got to talk between 12 and 1. Okay. And then I started to put things in a calendar because, I don't know about you. I'm not going to remember an appointment. Let's be honest. I got space for 3 or 4 things in there, and that's it.
Yeah.
And one of them is like shower and eat, and the other one is, everything else for the whole day. So I started putting them in the calendar, which, as we know, modern times syncs with our phone magically. It's great. Well, people would go, hey, I want a 1 p.m. tomorrow time slot. And I go, let's see. Oh, I can't do that. I can do 2. All right, I'll do 2. So I started putting things in the calendar, and what I noticed is I ran out of time in the afternoon. I had tons of stuff on that calendar, and it all got done because it was slotted in a specific time. And then I started scheduling things for evenings and mornings around the other times that I had in the afternoon. And I realized, wait a minute, I'm getting up in the morning and I'm doing everything on this calendar, and it's all getting done. This is the most productive I've ever been. Now stop right there, because people watching are going, duh, put stuff on a calendar. I'm turning off this podcast. Swanwick, you're slipping, bro. You're having some guy on here talking about putting stuff on a calendar. Everybody knows that. Do you do it, though? Because I knew to put stuff on a calendar, and we were making millions of dollars, and I didn't have anything. I didn't even have a calendar. But the problem is, it doesn't matter, right? You're not doing it. You know you're supposed to. It's like going to the gym or not eating crap. You know you're supposed to do that. But do you do it really well? Do you do it every day? No, you haven't made a habit out of it. You just sort of know, oh, I shouldn't get the fries with the burger, right?
Yeah.
But you're not doing it.
Yeah.
So it started to become this habit of productivity that was really, really, really like extremely sharp and positive. And then what happened was people would go, hey, I need to talk to you sometime tomorrow afternoon. And I'd go, no, I can't do that. I can do 8 p.m. to 8:30, and then I've got a dinner at 9 with some people from out of town. They're getting in. I'm picking up from the airport, and then we're eating late. And they'd go, oh, all right. And so what happened is I started to value my own time because it's like, wait a second. I have no time to go to the gym tomorrow. Well, I need to figure that out. So you start scheduling that. And then people start all those people who waste your time and infringe on your time and make you wait and make you late, or make sure that, and you go, oh, that's okay. You stop going, that's okay. And you just leave because you have another appointment. And so people start to respect your time differently because you're respecting your time differently.
Yeah. I tell you, I mean, I've been an entrepreneur, for lack of a better word, I guess, for about 6 years now, maybe 7 years now, after I was after I was an employee for many years as a journalist, started running my own business. And I fell prey, certainly in the first couple of years, to not having a schedule and to just like doing exactly what you just referred to, which is wake up in the morning and then I'll figure it out. Only really I was very old school though, Jordan, I have to admit. I used to just write my appointments down in a notepad with a pen. And, I started working in 1993 as a newspaper reporter, and I just wrote everything down. I learned how to do shorthand, which in shorthand, if you're not familiar with it, to the listener and viewer watching, is literally, it's like if you're writing a sentence out in longhand, it's like basically 4 times less effort to write to one word. So one word might be just 2 little moves of your pen rather than actually writing out the word then. Like THEN is like a T across an H and then a little sort of move like that.
It's like hieroglyphics, man.
Yeah, hieroglyphics. Yeah. So I always used to just keep my calendar in my head, like you just said was crazy, and also on a piece of paper and pen. Only recently have I actually invested in a proper scheduler. In fact, it's a woman that you actually recommended to me, Jordan.
That's right. Yeah.
And now I say to her, for example, on a Monday. Today is Monday. I'm talking to you on a Monday. I want to do just back-to-back interviews. I want at least 8 interviews. I want to start at 9 a.m. and I want the last one to finish at 6 p.m. So the last one that's starting at 5 p.m. And today I'm just going to pull up my calendar and I'm just going to read it to you. I had 9 o'clock, I had Daniel Vitalis, who's teaching people how to go wild. Fauna Solomon, who's a dating coach. Chris Lee, I was a guest on his show about productivity, funnily enough. 11:30, I had Melissa Catherine, who's a dating coach. At 12:30, I was interviewing Bo Eason, who's a former NFL player turned playwright who's teaches people how to tell their life story. I had a coaching call with one of my one-on-one clients down in Sydney, Australia on the phone. Then I interviewed another relationship expert called Alana Pratt, and now I've got on the calendar 5 p.m. Jordan Harbinger. So now I'm like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's 8 calls I've made. Now, am I tired? Yeah, I'm pretty damn tired. Yeah. But I'll tell you what, I was prepared for it. Like I got up early in the morning. I went to the gym early. I had what time I was going to wake up on my schedule. Waking up today at 6:20 a.m. was on my schedule. Being in the gym and starting at 7 a.m. and finishing at 8 a.m. was on my schedule. Having my breakfast and having my shower was on my schedule. So when 9 o'clock rolled round, I was ready to go. Bang. Having my food ready in the little 10-minute breaks that I have between each interview. Getting that ready was part of my schedule. So I wasn't like, oh, my God, I'm so hungry. I've got to quickly run up the street and buy a burger or buy some, I had that ready. And I've just had one of the most productive days that I have. And when this is finished, then I'm going up to Ty Lopez's house up in the Hollywood Hills to go and do another 3 hours of work because I've got 3 interns working with me at the moment. So that sounds like a pretty
One of whom took the Art of Charm program, from what I understand.
There you go. One of them did take the Art of Charm program. Yeah,
so you're like a magnet for stuff around Art of Charm. They just clink. They start sticking onto your stuff. And I'm glad that our scheduling assistant worked out too. But here's the thing, and I want to stop you real quick because I think People are going, dude, I know to put stuff on a calendar. Fine, I'll get my lunch ready. Fine, I'll get up on time. But here's the thing. You just mentioned before, you're tired, right? Well, what happens if it's not on your calendar and you're feeling tired? You go, I'll do that another time. And then that never happens. Or you push it till tomorrow. So then you've got to get up. And pretty soon, there's so much stuff on your calendar. I mean, or on your task list. I know you've seen this too, where you don't plan stuff and you see this to-do list and you go, shit, that's been on there for 3.5 months.
Yeah.
And it's not even a big thing. It's like, email so-and-so to see if they're wanting to come on your show. And you're like, how the hell have I not done that yet? Because you didn't plan. And I'm not saying you have to write down every email that you write, but you should make a block, 30 minutes, an hour, catch up on emails. And if you have a list of people you need to email or something that's handwritten or typed up somewhere, that's the time slot where you go through and you hammer all those things down. And then other people will do stuff like that all the time. And it makes perfect sense to put this stuff in your calendar because, yes, you plan your days out in advance. So now tomorrow or tonight, I can look and go, oh, tomorrow, all right, I got a James Swanwick thing. I got to meet with my assistant. I've got this lunch meeting. I'm not sitting around going, oh, all right, I should do all this stuff today, and I'll figure out how to squeeze it in. Because then you get through 1/3 of your list, and then you realize, oh, man, I ran out of time.
Yeah.
Or you do what I was doing, another bad habit that I've got rid of when I got the calendar, which is, all right, I have 14 not so important emails to send, 4 not so important phone calls, and I've got this big thing I need to do and this other medium-sized thing I need to do. Well, let's do all this small stuff, and then I'll get to the big stuff because I'll be like warmed up and ready to go, and I'll only have this small thing on. And then so you work through all that stuff, and you're like, oh, it's 3 o'clock. Dude, I can't start writing this article right now. It's 3 o'clock, man. I'm hungry. I haven't gone to the gym yet. So you go to the gym, you eat, and you go, it's 6. F this, man. I'm not doing this crap now. I'll do this tomorrow. And then tomorrow you have 14 emails, 4 not so important calls, 1 big thing and 1 medium-sized thing. And then 3.5 months later, you go, I still haven't written that article. Now I got to figure out how I'm going to explain being late or just never do it.
Yeah,
and so, you never eat the frog, man.
Yeah, so true, so true. So in your mind, when you're making your schedule, when you're creating a schedule, do you do it the day before? Do you do it a week before? Do you do it 6 weeks before? And how do you figure out what your most important thing is, and how do you set aside time? Just before you answer that, I just read a book called The One Thing by Gary Keller. Have you read it, Jordan?
No.
Okay, great book. And he talks about the importance of just doing one thing, picking what is your one thing for the day and making sure you get that done. Or what is your one thing for this month and getting it done. Or what is your one thing for this year and getting it done. And focusing on that one thing and then moving on. And it becomes like a domino effect. You do the one thing, which clicks the next one thing, which then moves the next one thing. And before you know it, it's like speed and momentum starts to take a hold, and you just all of a sudden you're just a productivity machine. So I would encourage you and any listeners or viewers right now to get that book. It's called The One Thing by Gary Keller. Excellent book. So how do you choose what's your most important thing? How do you choose where to schedule certain things in your day, Jordan?
Well, I don't do that anymore. But the thing is I hired my assistant Alara, and she does that. And the reason, and people go, oh man, James and Jordan, you hired assistants. You guys are so dumb. They have schedule once, or they have meet.me, or whatever these stupid things are, right? I hate those things, by the way, because I feel like you're making other people. Actually, this is relevant. I'm not just venting about something I'm annoyed by. The reason I don't like things like schedule once and what is it, meetme.so or something?
Meet me and schedule. Yeah, you're right. Meet me, yeah.
I think they're both the same thing, actually, now that I think about it. SO is probably scheduled once, but it doesn't matter. The reason I don't like those is, it's not my job to figure out where I fit into your schedule if you want to talk to me about something, right? And I'm willing to sort of like make it convenient for people and jump through hoops here and there wherever I need to, but here's the problem. So let's say I want to talk with Mark Cuban and have him on my show. Am I going to send him a schedule once thing and go, hey, Mark, great chatting the other day at whatever event. You should totally come on my show. Here's the thing where you can figure out when it's convenient for you to come grace my show with your presence. And he's going to be like, are you kidding me with this? And even his assistant's going to go, click 1. Oh, no, that day won't work. Click 2. That day won't work. You know what? I've had it with this. I'm done. And so somebody who really wants to be on your show, I can go, go through these hoops and figure out when I'm free and when you're free. And they'll go, cool, because they'll make it work. that doesn't really work. And especially, what if some people need half an hour, other people need an hour, some people need 15 minutes, other people need prep sent to them about whatever type of call we're going to have. Schedule once is not doing that. So it's a great interim step. If you're like just throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks and you have no rhyme or reason how you plan your calls, sure, get schedule once. But once you get to your level, James, like you need Ariel to call and go, hey, this is Ariel. Here's what you need. You need to make sure this dumb Zoom thing that we're trying to use that didn't work for me earlier, right? This technology thing is working. If not, I know to tell James to use Skype because that saved us 10 minutes in the beginning of like me farting around with this tech and you being like, dude, this guy's so dense. How does he not get this, right? And then what if I don't know we're going to do video? Like other people might go, oh, this is video? Oh, man, I'm not wearing any pants. All right, I got to put a shirt on and I'm good from the waist down. And then I better make sure that this light thing's not in my face or whatever, which I didn't do, admittedly. It's gone now. But you can prep them. And the more effectively prepped other people are, and the more effective, like I know in my calendar, Alara doesn't just put, in fact, I'll look right now. Alara doesn't just put James Swanwick. She puts get interviewed by James Swanwick, 5 p.m. Here's the title of the show. And here's your Skype name. And then there's a reminder early enough for me to get to where I was. So there's another thing that's leave from EO event. I was at an event to get back to studio in time to be here for this. Otherwise, it's 5 and I go, oh, crap. I got, hold on, James, I'll be there in a second, man. Give me like 20 minutes. And I'm sweating my balls off running down the streets of San Francisco to get home for this, only to find that now I look even worse than I usually do, and we're doing a video interview. So I need to know all of those things. Computers can't do that. You need an assistant at a certain level, and you resist it because it's freaking expensive, but it saves you a lot of time.
It does save you a lot of time. And I tell you, I got mixed up sometimes because I'm interviewed by other people and their podcasts quite a lot. And then other times I'm interviewing people for my podcast. And when I look in the calendar, initially when I was starting with Ariel, we're talking about Ariel, who's a wonderful woman, who's now my scheduler, if you like, who Jordan introduced me to, who used to work with your scheduler, right? So they've obviously learned.
Yes. When my scheduler goes on vacation, yours is the pinch hitter, and probably vice versa. If yours goes on vacation, you can have Alara sort of step in there and figure something out for a week or two.
So initially in the first week when Ariel was scheduling my stuff, I just had the name. And then I was like, oh, I don't know. Am I interviewing someone or am I being interviewed? And like, I just lose track of it. And then I just had that conversation. And so now I'm looking at the one, it says Alpha Male with Jordan Harbinger. It says, there's a note there that says, you will be interviewing Jordan. This is for Jordan appearing on your show.
Yeah, there is no ambiguity about it at all.
No, exactly. So you need that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm finding it, my productivity in terms of knocking out interviews and being interviewed on shows has gone up dramatically since I actually spent the money on a scheduler such as Ariel. So do you schedule things like workouts and I don't know, tell me some things that you schedule that the listener or viewer might go, that's kind of a bit unusual.
Yeah, I schedule everything, and I have multiple calendars. Before I dive into that, though, one point that I think we're sort of glossing over that I think other people probably do realize is, there's no thinking required. It says you are interviewing him. He is coming on your show. Here's the Skype name. There's, what decision fatigue is and stuff. Have you ever talked about that? Where like, the classic example is judges. If you get them like right before lunch or right after lunch, or more willing, they're like, going to punish you more, right? Because they're like, "Fuck this, I'm done. I don't care about this." Right? So there's a lot of decision fatigue, and that's why used car dealers or people who sell anything love to stay late. Not just because that's when a lot of customers come in, but because they come in after work and they're like, "Are you sure you don't want the leather seats?" And you're like, "I'm just trying to eat." Fine. You'll do that. And throughout the day, your willpower, this is scientific. This isn't like some woo-woo like term or new theory. This is real. Your brain is using calories to go, oh, James Swanwick, am I interviewing him or is he interviewing me? Oh, yeah, that's right. He's interviewing me. What's his Skype name? Let me go in Gmail and search for that. That's not it. Let me scroll. No, that's not it. Oh, that's his old Skype name. He changed it, right? Let me search for change new Skype. If I do that, I'm going into this thing like already having used, maybe it's just 1% of my daily or 1/10 of 1%. But if you keep doing dumb stuff like that, how efficient are you when you've got to be on the show crushing it? This is prime time. This is a game, whether it looks like that or not. And the reason is because other people have done like the heavy lifting. And so people will go, oh, you're such a diva. You can't even control your own calendar. Or like, oh, this celebrity has to have somebody bring new water into their place. Like, why can't they just walk into the green room and get water for themselves? The thing is, you've got to be, as weird as it might sound, this is kind of like an art in a lot of ways, being on a show, creating positive content, delivering it powerfully. This isn't something where I want to be like, I kind of have to pee. Oh, man, I wish I had some coffee. I'll make coffee later. Oh, wait, do I have coffee? No, but I'll go get some, and then that's not going to work for me. I need stuff set so I can perform, because working at a company, running a company, it's like being an athlete. You need this stuff in order. So I look at my workouts on the calendar, back to your previous question, without decision fatigue. I look through this and I go, people are going, I don't need to schedule workouts, man. I'll just end my work day and I'm not going to forget to work out. I mean, I love working out. I'm not going to forget it. Well, here's the problem. You might not forget it, but what's going to happen is you're going to get up at 8 a.m. You're going to do your meditation, and then you're going to, check this inbox, and you're going to check your regular postal mail, and then you're going to call your parents in Australia before they go to sleep, and then you've got a dentist appointment, then you've got an interview, then somebody interviews you, then you've got a lunch meeting, probably will run long, so you left a little bit of time, then you got a phone call with somebody who wants to come through boot camp. This is my real calendar, obviously. Then you've got a couple intro calls, you've got a couple more people interviewing you, and then you've got a meeting with some guys who graduated from your boot camp, and you're going to get some feedback from those guys about how it went in person, and they want to have dinner with you, and you're not going to say no because you love your Art of Charm alumni. So that's all set there. And then that blocks off, and then we're at 8 p.m., and I've got some testimonial stuff I want to record. I want to go over some financials, and then, oh, snap, there's no time for me to work out, because I planned stuff over it. And that's pretty realistic, and that will happen pretty much every day that you work forever, unless you go, wait a minute, I'm going to wake up, I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do that, then I've got a Chinese lesson, boom. Then I'm going to go for a bike ride for an hour, go bike and then go to the gym. Then I'm going to do all this other stuff, and it's on the calendar. So Alara, because I'm no longer in control of the calendar, and that's when this becomes even more important, Alara knows, I'm not going to put this call over his exercise slot because he'll get pissed. So that is in there just like any other appointment, which means, one, I'm going to actually do it. Two, if I don't do it, I've got nothing else during that time slot, so I'm probably going to do it again, right? And three, it doesn't get like, somebody else has to push something and we're going to do that. And here's a rule that you need to have. You can't put gym on there and have it be like, yeah, I'll probably go to the gym then. Because what'll happen is your assistant or whoever's managing your calendar will go, yeah, I was supposed to go to the gym then, but yeah, I'll do that quick call. And then that guy flakes on the call and you're sitting there having wasted half an hour waiting for the guy, and now you don't have time to go. And it won't happen. Once your calendar gets to look like this, like ours does, and I wish I could take a screenshot, but I have like all these like phone numbers of people and stuff. I probably shouldn't. But once your calendar is fully booked up, it's literally 7:30 a.m. every day all the way until 9 p.m. every day. There's something in there, whether it's work or play. And I even have like hang out with my girlfriend and like, go do this thing, like go grab some bubble tea with my girl or whatever. I have that in there because if you don't, then what happens is other things start to encroach on that. And you cannot get rid of that. You can't get rid of those little things, because then it starts to really screw with your personal time. And that's why people go, I feel like I'm always working. Yeah, because you are, because you got this and then you got 20 minutes and then you got that and you got an hour, but there's, you can't fit things in there.
Yeah. So we're talking to Jordan Harbinger from The Art of Charm. Make sure you send him a tweet at The Art of Charm. That's at The Art of Charm. Make sure you subscribe to his show if you have not already done so. You can find him in iTunes at The Art of Charm. Wonderful podcast. I have been a guest on his show before. Great show for men. There's a lot of women who listen to it as well, but some great content there. Wonderful guests. Just a terrific podcast. So make sure you check that out. So Jordan, what time do you wake up in the day? What time do you wake up in the morning? And what does your morning look like? And when do you schedule your gym? And do you schedule putting food in your mouth? Do you schedule things like a shower? Do you schedule something that could come into the day when you least expect it? Like, is there some kind of backup plan that calls for spontaneity where something goes wrong and you have to automatically go, change the schedule? Let's just deal with the first thing, which was waking up and eating breakfast and showering and all that kind of stuff.
Sure. So I get up around 7:30, and at that point,
So it's not 7 or 7:30.
Yeah, I've literally got like a little fuzzy zone right there.
Okay, so the fuzzy zone is in the schedule because it sounds like
it's in there. Yeah, it's in the schedule because I know that I might be like, oh man, I kind of want to do something else other than wake up right now. Now, whether that's like me just looking at email in my bed or like hanging out with with my girlfriend or something, that came out weird. I might be doing something else in the morning. So it's good for me to have that flex time and then, shower. And then usually, though, before that, I'll do an hour of exercise and I'll jump on my bike and bike down Embarcadero or whatever. And I've got that whole hour planned. And usually I'm a little bit late to it because I'll grab some coffee, but it's on the calendar and it's built in there. It's not like, oh, you're late to something. Ha! It's like, no, the lateness is built into the hour block on the calendar because I only really need 45, 50 minutes. And then I'll come back, rinse off, and then even if I'm slow with that, I'm back in time for my first appointment. And that's really important. And yes, I have lunches scheduled and they're not flexible. You can move them around with it. Alara knows that she can move them around within a certain parameter during the day, but they can't be scheduled over for this or that or the other thing. And if there is an emergency, then I cancel something. I don't go, hey, let's start a little bit late. It's like, it's gone. If something happened at 5 p.m. and I couldn't make it to this, I would be like, reschedule, give him priority, which means we would figure out a time to make it happen despite my other instructions about when time is off limits and whatnot. But I'd be like, I have to go, I don't know, my cat got out, now I've got to go find it, right? So I don't build that in because then I've got downtime that I don't normally need. And if something really important goes down, then I'll cancel something. But the other thing is, there's so few emergencies when you don't plan to be accessible or to have emergency time. I can't even remember the last emergency. And the thing is, if it's a real emergency, the person who you have a call with or an interview with is like, oh my gosh, yeah, sure, go handle it. If it's a BS emergency and you just want to like take a nap or something, you won't slack and you won't just fart around because you've got something on the calendar that you're going to have to reschedule. If you just have quote unquote flex time, then you're just going to blow it on something non-productive. And I would rather, and not that you shouldn't have relaxing time during the day. If you want that, build it in. But here's the thing. I'd rather have, well, let me ask you this. And this may be an answer that varies with you or your audience, but would you rather have 2 extra hours at the end of the day to relax with your girl and just chill? Or would you rather have like those 2 hours during the middle of the day chewed up with you looking at Facebook or going to the gas station to get a Cliff Bar or, whatever. I mean, do you want that? If you want that flex time around all of your appointments during the day because it clears your head, do it. But otherwise, what happens with most people is they go on frickin' Twitter and they waste a shitload of time during the day. And then at night, they're like, oh, I only finished at like 8:30. Well, you would have finished at 6:30 if you didn't jerk around all the time.
There's a lot of jerking around that goes on Facebook.
There's so much jerking around, man.
There's a lot. And I'm not going to say that I'm not guilty of it sometimes because I have been guilty of it sometimes. I really have. But I'll tell you when I do. I'll tell you when I do my best twittering now. It's when I wake up in the morning and go and use the bathroom. And I'm not talking about standing there taking a piss. I'm talking about the other thing that you do. That's when I use my social media. That's when I schedule it into my day. That's it. That way I'm not being distracted, and the rest of my day that's like relaxing. And then I get up and then I go and I'm off to the gym and I work out in the gym. I come back and I shower and I have my food and then I'm good to go. Bang, we're off.
I'm with you. That's me time as well. That
you were looking at me funny though. You were looking at me going, what the hell is he talking about? Why is he sharing that? And now you're like begrudgingly sort of agreeing with me going, yeah, it's
true.
Yeah.
If you see me drive by liking a lot of Facebook updates or like reading some stuff or like replying to tweets, you know what's happening. I'm waiting for something, whether it's wherever it might be. So I'm waiting for something.
This might be a pertinent time for the listener to send us a tweet right now to Jordan at The Art of Charm and at James Swanwick, JamesSwanwick. And when either of us retweet it, you'll know where we are and what we're doing.
Yeah, yes, you'll know exactly what's going on, whether you like it or not.
Any other tips, Jordan? Any other things that you do that's interesting on how you schedule things or don't schedule things or make choices to let people on the calendar or not?
I've got different types of calendars, and that's been really handy because I used to just have one, and I don't mean like multiple calendar programs. That'd be a huge pain in the butt. But I've got my AOC calendar, which is all of my phone calls and all of my appointments with people that want boot camps, AOC related business and meetings. Then I've also got like hard, blocks in there, like my Chinese lessons and things like that I don't want Alara to schedule over. Then I've got my personal calendar that is so on that AOC calendar. Alara shared, my assistant, anybody who needs to see when I'm available can see that. And I have that, of course. And then I have a personal calendar that's shared. Me, my girlfriend has that. So she can be like, oh, are you going to be home at 7? I don't have to get texts every day. Are you going to be home for this? Are you going to be around for that? Can I plan this at this time? Or are you going to be busy? She knows when I'm busy. And then she makes appointments and things like that for us around that. And she'll block it off as busy on the other calendar so that Alara or whoever's doing an AOC thing won't block something in that time slot. And that's great because now I don't have the whole company being like, what? You're going to Pilates? What's wrong with you? But I can still have that scheduled there because it's blocked off on another calendar. And then I've got a media calendar that's all these are all different colors. I've got a media calendar that's like, oh, James is interviewing you and this is happening this way. That way I know that at that time I don't have to look at it and read it to figure out what it is. I know, okay, I've got to be in my studio at this time. Because if it's green on my end, yes, I know I have to be in studio. If it's purple, it means I can do it wherever. I just need to be able to call somebody. Green, I need to be in a quiet place. I need to have my microphones. And that's important because otherwise what happens is you're sitting somewhere getting some work done. You're at a friend's office working and you go, oh, shit, I've got to be in a quiet place with great internet, with microphones, with everything that I need in 3 minutes. And I'm across town. And now I got to cancel or reschedule or hack and wing it. And that's no good. And then I've got one calendar that's just me where it's like, go out and buy a surprise for somebody. You don't want that getting on the shared calendar and you don't want it cluttering up your business calendar. And what's really good is you can turn off personal stuff during the day so it's not distracting you. And you just see busy blocks when that stuff will happen, but you're focused on work and you don't go, I've got to go pick this person up from the airport at this time. It's just not bugging you. It's less clutter. It looks cleaner. You can set different types of alarms for different calendars so you know when it rings what it is.
So when you say you've got different calendars, you must have like a master calendar, right? Google.com/calendar. I'm assuming that's what you're
No, I have Mac. The whole company's on Apple, so I have iCal.
Okay.
And I use my phone and I use iCal. And iCal supports multiple calendars that are shared. So I have different colors. And they're shared over the web as well with like I said, my girlfriend, my assistant, anybody in the business that needs it. And nobody can see I think sometimes people can see like my availability, not publicly, but people inside the company that want to like just give me a buzz. They can see my availability, but they can't see like what I necessarily have because they don't care. Right. They don't need to know. They just need to know that I can or can't talk at that point.
So what's the benefit of using iCal over something? I mean, I thought that google.com/calendar or whatever you want to call it, Google Calendar can do all of those things and more, right?
I think it can do all those things. Yeah. I don't think there's really much of a difference. One is Apple, which is iCloud, which works seamlessly with all of the people in the company and their mobile devices. But I think if you've got an Android or something and you got a PC, use Google. I mean, that's it's PC versus Mac stuff there. Well, I mean, it's all the same stuff.
I got a Mac and I'm using Google Calendar. It's just I type it in, I put it on the calendar, and Ariel is connected with it. It then syncs to my phone.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's all I need. As you're telling me, I'm like, I'm not sure I really need that. I think I've actually got everything.
You have the same. You have the same thing.
Yeah,
I'm sure you have the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what about when you race across town, ready to go and be at your 5 o'clock appointment, and then the other person cancels on you for some bogus reason, like they forgot? Imagine if you had now got online, tried to find me, and I wasn't answering, and 10 minutes later, I'm like, oh, shit, dude, you know what? I forgot. So sorry, really sorry. Like, what would your reaction be to that?
I'd be like, yeah, no problem. We can reschedule, but here's what's going through my head. And not necessarily with you because we're friends, but like if I didn't know you and you were just like, oh, I'm going to interview you, I'd be like, all right, cool. I would be like, oh, no problem. Well, maybe we can reschedule. Let's say it's not you. Let's say it's somebody totally different. And you're like, oh, I forgot. Well, if you had said something important happened and you'd let me know like right at the time or right before, I would be like, oh, that's, that sucks. You had to take your mom to the doctor because your dad, is late from work. I get that. That happens. You got to prioritize your family, whatever. But yeah, if you have some bogus reason like I forgot, what I might do is I might go, if your show's really small or I don't know you or I don't care that much, I might go, all right, well, let's circle back in 6 months or I'm really busy. I don't have time. Because I'm thinking at this point, wow, you're really an amateur because I know how busy you are and you know how busy I am, especially after the show. But a lot of people don't realize that. And it's not because they're jerks so they don't care about other people's time and blah, 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 get off my lawn, old man stuff. It's because when you're not doing anything important and you're kind of like, oh, I have 2 hours of real work today because I'm an entrepreneur, right? Then you don't think, oh, man, 10 minutes is a big deal to somebody who's got 15-minute blocks scheduled for a 12-hour period during their day like I do here. Yeah. And now you see that it's not just me being like self-important. These are actually discrete tasks. I mean, I've got 15-minute calls pretty much all day. And so that's really important for people to realize. And if they just go, oh, bro, I totally forgot, or, oh, I'm outside walking and I didn't know I needed to be in a quiet place for something as obvious as a phone call, so I'm at a loud bar, I'm kind of just like, you're kind of a dumbass. That's what I'm thinking. So I won't do business with people who do that. And also if people are like, I really want to come to the Art of Charm, and then they're at like happy hour with their friends yelling, I'm like, no, you don't. No, you don't. Because if you did, you'd have prioritized this, you'd have your shit together, but you don't. So I think you're just jerking my leg, wasting my time. So yeah, Alora will reschedule us, but I tell her not to prioritize. And what that means is like the earliest will be next month.
Yeah, sure.
Because I'm just not, and it's like put it somewhere where it's like not a big deal. It's at the end of some work day, so I don't worry about like being fresh for it. You basically get bumped down a ton of pegs. And at the end of the day, if somebody else reschedules something and I'm like, ugh, and then we reschedule it and it's like a month later and I have anything else that I'd rather do at that point in time or something important comes up, I'll just cancel it because I already go, you know what? This person already blew it on the first shot. So now they're kind of like an option. I feel like they're optional at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. Jordan, do you schedule your sleep? Do you schedule I will be asleep at this hour?
I don't. I need to because I get plenty of sleep. My girlfriend doesn't. She needs more sleep than me, actually, which is kind of weird. I don't know if that's a man-woman thing or what. But I need like 6 hours. She needs like 8. And, you're hanging out with your girlfriend. I live with her. We go to bed at the same time. And she wakes up early to drive to Palo Alto because she has a day job. She's an accountant. So, I mean, I get up fine, but the thing is, we need to start, we started doing like the whole Dave Asprey, like blue blocker thing. The lights we have, we can filter the light in the right way. So we've got like appropriate ways. There you go. Nice.
If you're listening and not watching, good. I've just put on a pair of blue blocker glasses, which you should put on as the sun starts to go down and wear at nighttime. So your body can get used to the rhythms of the sun obviously going down. Because as you're looking at electronics and there's like the lighting in the room, your body is like thinking, oh, it's still daytime, even though it's nighttime. And so you actually want to wear these to cut out the light so you can actually sleep better at night.
Yeah, it's awesome. And another little hack, and we won't go into biohacking too much here, but there's something called Flux, Flux, and it's for the Mac. I don't know if they have a PC version, but do you use this? What it does?
Yeah, you know what? I was just told about this today in one of my earlier interviews. Who was it with? It was with Daniel Vitalis, who told me about the Flux, the app Flux. Yeah.
It's free, and what it does is it takes your geolocation, so it knows where you are based on your IP coordinates, and it lowers the temperature of your screen, the color temperature, of course, of your screen, of your computer, based on the sunset. So, like, if it's late at night or sunset or dinner time, it's dimming your display because what's really bad for you is looking at your damn computer screen at 11 p.m. and then trying to close your, watching a movie, going to bed. And the thing is, it's got movie mode, so it'll turn the colors a little bit if you're watching a movie so it doesn't look all funky. And it's got dark room mode because I think a lot of people are using computers in really, really dark places. So it inverts all the colors. It's got that. And it changes throughout the day by degree Kelvin. And so during the day, it's bright. And it's not just the dimming. Like MacBooks are dimming. People are thinking that's it. It's literally, it starts to get more red and more orange. So it's supposedly more natural after daylight ends. And for me, that's been huge because I didn't know that light interrupted your sleep. It makes perfect sense. But since I installed this and started wearing blue blockers, man, I lay down and I am just like, I fall asleep with the blue blockers on because I'm looking at my phone or some doing some Chinese vocabulary or something. I fall asleep instantly now, or instead of rolling around and thinking about stuff. I mean, I'm out, dude. And so Lux, it's free anyway, so you should get it. But blue blockers, you can get blue blockers for like $8 too online.
I think I got this pair for like $6. And what's more, I still look like Maverick from Top Gun. You know, it's like badass. I like it.
like the Transformer bug version.
Exactly.
But I don't plan my sleep in the calendar. I might do that / should probably do that. But the thing is, I get to bed at reasonable times. So I don't worry about it too much, but it definitely is something that you need. If you're one of those people that's farting around late at night going, why am I still awake? Put bedtime in your calendar. If you're one of those people who goes, oh my God, it's 11:30 already. Shit, I need to go to sleep. Put the bedtime in your calendar. If you're like me, man, you're getting old. You know, it's like 10:30 and you're like, man, I'm falling asleep on the couch, hanging out, doing something. You'll know to go to bed. But when I was younger, I definitely should have. Because I remember burning the midnight oil with Art of Charm stuff and being like, oh, man, it's 1:30 a.m. I got to get up at 8. You know?
And that's a disaster. And I don't know about you, Jordan, but I can't operate on poor sleep. Like I've only got so much glycogen in my brain throughout the day. And if I don't get a good night's sleep, as well as waking up at a reasonable hour to go to the gym and work out, because health is important to me. I want to exercise. I want to feel good. I want to look good. Then I'm in a shitty mood all day and stuff just doesn't happen. It's hard sometimes with social things like friends are wanting to go out. If you're a single guy as well and you're wanting to date, you've got to if you've got a date night scheduled in the calendar, for example, where you want to take a woman out, those things aren't going to be finishing anything before like 11 o'clock most times. And then, so you've got to you've really got to schedule that into your week, because on that particular night, you're not going to get as much sleep. So you've got to make sure that the day after you're going out on a date or any kind of social function for that matter, maybe you need to push back your first meeting of the day if the social event is of importance to you. Now, if your business is of importance, then you shouldn't be doing that, and you shouldn't be pushing anything back. Exactly. But it all comes down to priorities there. But you can literally schedule when you go on dates. Now that the NFL season has started, I'm a big Denver Broncos fan, and I've decided to scale back how much football I watch. I'm only going to watch the Broncos game on a Sunday now, whereas usually I used to spend the whole day watching all the games and following my fantasy football team. I'm just going to block out a time to watch Broncos game. I'm going to do it with some friends who are fellow Broncos fans here in Los Angeles, and that's going to be my Sunday. And so whenever I'm invited somewhere, I'll go, well, let me have a look. It's around Broncos time. What time are they playing that day? Because the times change. That's important to me. I get enjoyment from that. That's my way of switching off from the work week before I then switch on again on the Monday. So you can schedule all kinds of things, not just your work, but your social activities, time to catch up with family, friends, whatever it is. And when you do that, you just seem to get a lot more stuff done. And I just find like I'm happier when that happens. I'm not like running around feeling so out of control, because feeling in control is obviously increasing my happiness and my mood at the same time.
Yeah, it's really important. That's a really good point. There's intangible benefits that are hard to put your finger on from having your calendar really in order. You don't have to think about anything. You know you're going to have time for social events and for things that are for you. And yeah, there's probably some pessimist out there who's like, no, now I'm going to see how busy I am and how little time I do have. Hey, at least you're aware of it. Then you can manage it. Because that's the thing, is I started to get so busy that I was never having any time for myself. And it wasn't just because, wow, I'm so busy, I never have time for myself. It's because all of my time for myself was in 5, 10, 15-minute blocks throughout random times, and I couldn't put tasks in those times because I wasn't planning them. So once you start to do that, you realize, oh, I actually have like whole days free that I could spend on the weekend by plugging things that normally I'm sitting in my office wrapping up work. You could fit those into the little slots between calls if you piecemeal it, but you're never going to be able to switch tasks like that. If you're thinking, oh, all right, I've got like 10 minutes because that call ended early. What should I do? Oh, I should start working on the McKinsey report because I still have 3 pages left to proofread. No, you don't think that. You go, Facebook until 10 minutes later when I have my next call. But if you batch those things and you go, all right, every time I have a gap today, I'm going to work on this thing. Otherwise, I'm going to be stuck with it during the weekend. You can knock it out and you go, dang, now I don't have to go to the office on Saturday. This is great. And that will continue to happen. You'll continue to get better with your calendar, and you'll continue to get better and more efficient with your time. And then you don't have these dumb problems that people who don't have calendars because they think, I can handle this stuff in my head. That's exactly what I used to think too. It's kind of like thinking, I don't really need to work out because, I walk everywhere. And it's like, okay, man, or I lift heavy stuff at work all day. All right, whatever you need to do to rationalize that you don't need it. Because using a calendar, when you start the learning curve, it's a bitch, right? It is more trouble to start because it is a learning curve. But now, after a while, it takes all of the thinking and planning out of your day. And that's awesome.
Yeah, great stuff. So Jordan Harbinger from The Art of Charm, mate. Thank you so much. We could talk about this forever, but we won't because I got to go. It's on my schedule. It says
right. It's on schedule.
It says 6 o'clock. I got to get the hell out of here and up to the Hollywood Hills. So, mate, Thank you so much. If you're listening and watching here, make sure you check out The Art of Charm on iTunes. It's been going 7 years now. It's one of the top-ranked podcast shows there. It's a great show, terrific content. Jordan's a great interviewer as well. Make sure you get on there. Send Jordan a tweet right now at The Art of Charm. That's at The Art of Charm. Just say, listen to Jordan on The Art of Charm with at James Swanwick on the Alpha Male Club podcast. Send him out a tweet. He'd love to hear from you. He will retweet it. I will retweet it. Make sure you get involved with some of Jordan's boot camps. Jordan, I'm going to give you an opportunity now just to tell our listener about those boot camps. I can tell you one of my interns is an Art of Charm alumni, as you pointed to, and he was telling me about his transformation from being a very shy, kind of awkward guy, not just with women, but with people in general. And truthfully, when he turned up at my doorstep to do his first day as an intern, he was a little bit shy and a little bit awkward. But on the second, third, fourth day, he's just come into his own, and now he's very confident. He's suggesting things. He's getting things done. And he's talked to me about that transformation, how the skills that he learned doing the Art of Charm boot camp has really helped him. So do you want to just describe what the Art of Charm boot camp is?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, essentially, it's an intensive 6-day program in LA. Guys come from all over the world. And we've got, literally, I'm looking at a room with guys from Australia, Denmark. There's a guy here from China. So it's funny because there's somebody right now who's like, oh, I live too far away from LA. I'm all the way up in Sacramento, or I'm in Arizona. It's like, whatever, man. People fly in from everywhere. And it's 60 hours long, and we measure your body language. We help you in the way you sit, stand, walk, talk, first impressions, the way that you feel about yourself, the way that you process persuasion, deal with difficult people. And it's funny because your intern's a good dude, and I know, like, man, he was just like a complete introvert in a lot of ways in the beginning. And yes, he showed up on the first day, but what you saw, man, is different. And now you see who he really is. But it took him a lot of work to get there. And a lot of people who come in are not necessarily shy or awkward. In fact, we get a lot of military, intelligence, special forces. We get a lot of elite salesmen because they know that people buy you. They don't buy your product or service. They know they need to not just be confident, but be able to generate trust and rapport. And that's really what we teach at AOC, is how to get people to like and trust you. And so it's powerful, and it's booked 3-4 months in advance. It's something tricky now to figure out when we can get people in, and we're scaling a little bit. But if guys are interested in that, give us a call or email me. I'm just Jordan at theartofcharm.com. And they can check out the free stuff on the podcast if they're like, one step at a time there, cowboy. Check out the free stuff, man. I got like 309 hours of stuff. So go for it, listen to it, absorb that stuff, and then we'll talk about the next level when you're ready.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you, Jordan. I appreciate that. I'll put a special link to you at my personal website. If you go to jamesswanwick.com/AOC, that's AOC, stands for Art of Charm. Go to jamesswanwick.com/AOC. You can get all of Jordan's cool stuff there about the Art of Charm right there, and he will hook you up, and you can get into one of those boot camps. Jordan, mate, always a pleasure speaking to you. I appreciate you giving me an intern, you giving me a scheduler, and you talking to me on the Alpha Male Club podcast to my listener. I appreciate that.
You got it, man. Thanks. My pleasure.
And to the Alpha Male listening, I will catch you on the next one.